I always struggle with knowing where to begin. I find that the
Yes.
most overwhelming part. So I often find myself procrastinating, avoiding the task of decluttering. What do you suggest?
I would say start with the area that annoys you the most. But if that's really big and overwhelming and you're procrastinating, so maybe that's the case for you, try and get some momentum with something that's a bit more simple and more finite, like even a sock drawer, a spice rack. And food's really good because there are use-by dates, which makes the decision-making process really easy.
So that's easy. Let's talk about some of the hard parts. I, for one, I'm a bit of a hoarder. I'm a clutterer, so you probably don't like me. I've got boxes and boxes of old stuff up in our attic, going back to my childhood.
Yeah.
All these items, all these bits of paper, scraps have meaning to me, but by definition it's been in a box for, in many cases, 20 years, 30 years or so, never had eyes on it. So what's your advice to me when I do need to clear some stuff out?
So you're talking about sentimental things?
Yes, sentimental things, but not necessarily overly sentimental things.
Yes, yes. Sentimental things can be difficult, but I think with each item, if you ask yourself, why are you keeping it? Is it due to some sense of obligation? Is it guilt? And especially if you're not actually using it, I think it's good to just... decluttering is all about making decisions. So with each item, you just need to make a decision. Is it going to... is it donatable? Do you need to throw it out? Do you really want to keep it? Is it earning the space that it's occupying?
You've got to be fairly brutal, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. If you feel like you've got too much stuff...
Yeah, I do, yes.
You need to think about what's your goal? Like, how much of your stuff do you want to declutter? Is it 50%? Is it 10%? And then with each item you hold, you need to ask yourself, is my decision taking me closer to my goal or further away from my goal?
Yeah, we've heard in recent years about Marie Kondo's philosophy of whether or not an item brings you joy, but you don't necessarily agree that that's the best way to decide whether or not to keep an item.
I think does it spark joy can work for some people. For me, I find it a little bit airy-fairy because, like lots of things can spark joy. It doesn't mean you have to keep it and vice versa. I think there are other questions that we can ask, and it could be different for each person and also for each category that you're looking at. Things like, does it fit the vision that I have for this space, like I said? Also, do I have a tangible use for this? Like not just, it might come in handy one day, but can I see myself using this? Do I have a tangible use? But also, more importantly, like I said, with the sentimental stuff, why am I keeping it?
We have one of our staff members this morning confess that she secretly gets rid of her husband's, what she sees as clutter. I suspect that happens a fair bit in households around Australia. And what's your advice to those people? Don't get caught, don't get caught.
It's probably not great to get rid of other people's things because it can erode trust and... I guess, if you think they're not going to miss it, you could take a chance on it. But if you and someone you're living with have different sort of clutter tolerances and they like more stuff than you, that's a really common problem. I would say just start with your own stuff. They might get on board and be inspired by what you're doing. And just maybe assign them, some space in the home, like this is your side of the wardrobe or this is your drawer.